This astonishing Game of Thrones fan theory says Daenerys will become pregnant, and it makes sense. Game of Thrones fans were left shocked by this year's jaw-dropping season finale, and now audiences think they might know what Jon and Daenerys' fate will be at the series' end. Before us lie swords, sorcery, and spoilers, many spoilers, as we delve into one of Game of Thrones' most intriguing fan theories. In order to discuss why this theory is so game-changing, we must first take a look at Daenerys' Targaryen past. Indeed, the character, played brilliantly by British actress Emilia Clarke, wasn't always the strong-willed mother of dragons we know today. In fact, she was merely a pawn in the schemes of her conniving brother, Viserys. Born to the Mad King, Aerys Targaryen, Daenerys and Viserys began the series as royalty in exile. In a bid to reclaim his crown, Viserys weds his sister off to warlord Khal Drogo in exchange for an army. Yet despite her initial hesitations, Daenerys nonetheless falls in love with the fearsome Drogo and becomes pregnant with his child. However, Daenerys' happiness proves short-lived. After a fight with one of his companions, Drogo receives a near-fatal wound that leaves him at death's door. Desperate, Daenerys pleads with a witch to save his life, but her spell leaves her husband a shell of his former self. As if losing Drogo isn't bad enough, Daenerys, now known as Khaleesi, then suffers a miscarriage and is robbed of her child as well. Furthermore, she discovers that the tragedy was part of a curse concocted by the witch Mirri Maz Duur in revenge for Drogo's slaughter of her village, and it's a hex that will forever leave Dany infertile. Flash forward several seasons, and Daenerys has become one of the most powerful rulers in the known world. Following her brother's death and her mercy killing of Drogo, Dany has now assumed her place as the heir to the Iron Throne. Thus, she begins Season 7 by landing on Westeros' soil, her first step toward ultimate victory. Along the way, Dany meets the King of the North, Jon Snow, an orphan with his own ambitions towards the throne. Due to their shared struggles, the pair quickly develop an alliance and eventually feelings for each other. Then, in the season's final moments, the pair consummate their growing love. But rather than tug at its audience heartstrings, the scene left many reaching for the sick bucket. That's because, unbeknownst to either of them, Jon Snow was born to Daenerys' deceased brother, Rhaegar. Besides making her his aunt, this detail also means that Jon is the true successor to Aerys Targaryen. Obviously, the revelation puts Daenerys in an extremely awkward place. Not only has she committed an act of incest with her sole surviving family member, but she now no longer bears any right to the throne. There's one unexplored outcome, however, that she may have to contend with as well: pregnancy. Of course, conception wouldn't be the first thing on Daenerys' mind. After all, Mirri Maz Duur explained that the Khaleesi couldn't bear children at the end of Season 1. But some intrepid fans believe that there may be hope for the ruler just yet, and they point to Duur as proof. Writing on Reddit, one user named CowKen4 argues that Duur's prophecy foreshadows later events. After Daenerys asks her when Drogo will return to his former self, the necromancer enigmatically states, "When the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, when the seas go dry and mountains blow in the wind like leaves." According to CowKen4, this speech could only refer to the war between the living and the dead, since the final episode climaxed with the Night King storming the Seven Kingdoms Wall. This conflict looks set to break out at any moment. Moreover, the Reddit user points to another detail that many fans of the show have likely missed. In George R.R. Martin's original novel, Duur's prophecy continues past her description of the seas and mountains. In fact, the witch adds, "Your womb quickens and you bear a living child. Then he will return and not before." Though the series drops this part of the speech, it remains a significant indication of Daenerys' fate. That's all well and good, we hear you say, but isn't the prophecy about Khal Drogo and not Jon Snow? Well, it's a good question, but there's still one piece of the puzzle left. And according to another Reddit user, Serious Anakin, for that we have to turn again to the start of the series. While visiting Qarth in Season 2, Daenerys enters the House of the Undying, where she experiences a powerful vision. There, the Khaleesi imagines backing away from the Iron Throne before making her way north of the Wall. Finally, she sees herself with Drogo and the child that they never had. And this seems to suggest that Daenerys will give up her pursuit of the throne in favor of motherhood. Indeed, part of the vision came true last season when the Khaleesi ventured north of the Wall to save Jon. And there are other clues to suggest that Snow will become her new sun and stars. Perhaps fittingly, the final clues can only be found in the books themselves. Throughout his novels, Martin makes repeated reference to a blue winter rose when mentioning Lyanna Stark, Jon Snow's mother. Moreover, Daenerys finds a blue flower growing from a chink in the wall of ice during her vision, a symbol that can seemingly only refer to Jon. While some fan theories border on the absurd, this hypothesis seems to have some grounding in fact. And during a 2014 Q&A in Edinburgh, Martin himself confirmed that one fan theory is correct. At least one or two readers had put together the extremely subtle and obscure clues that I'd planted in the books, the author admitted. Meanwhile, Game of Thrones actor Ian Glenn, who plays Daenerys' loyal protector, Jorah Mormont in the series, this year also hinted at a future for Jon and Dany. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter about Mormont's attitude towards Jon, Glenn said, "I think there's an element of him feeling, you're the one to be guiding us forward, you're going to be part of the plan." And possibly the biggest hint of all might be found in the name of the book itself, A Song of Ice and Fire. If we take ice to refer to Jon and fire to refer to Daenerys, the prospect of a child between the two becomes even more plausible. But for all that, we'll have to wait 2 more years to be sure, and we couldn't be any more excited to find out. Please share this video with your friends below.